The Supreme Court of the United States has upheld one of the key policy decisions from the Trump administration. That is the travel ban. This ban impacts 8 countries, 6 of which are Muslim majority. The other 2, North Korea and Venezuela. It creates a different vetting process, an aggressive vetting process that has some people saying it's actually a Muslim ban. Many others saying, nope, this is how we're going to keep America safe. Ashley Johnson has the full story. Ashley, what do you got for us?
The Muslim community is shaken up over the Supreme Court's decision Monday, allowing the Trump administration's travel ban to go into effect while legal battles against it continue.
It's completely against democracy and what this country stands for. However, now that what we're really appalled by is the fact that the Supreme Court actually permitted it or passed it. As far as the president is concerned, we're not surprised by his actions or his rhetoric.
Morsad Sami Hossein is the imam of the Voorhees, New Jersey mosque. He says members of his mosque do have family members that will be affected. The court's orders restrict travel from 8 countries, 6 predominantly Muslim, including Iran, Libya, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Chad, as well as North Korea and some groups from Venezuela. The American Civil Liberties Union said it will continue to fight the travel ban, which is still being challenged in lower courts.
Many of the Muslims that want to leave those countries and come to America or anywhere else, they're fleeing persecution and a lot of the same terrorists that we don't want in our country.
The restrictions vary depending on each country, but for the most part, citizens from the 8 countries won't be able to come live in the U.S. permanently, and many will be barred from working, studying, or vacationing here. This is not a final ruling on the travel ban, but it does indicate that the Supreme Court might approve the latest version of the ban. In Voorhees, New Jersey, I'm Ashley Johnson, reporting for Chasing News.
Thank you, Ashley. All right, let's bring in someone who has some pretty strong opinions on this travel ban and the Supreme Court upholding President Trump's action. His name is Jay Raymond. He is with the Council on American Islamic Relations in New Jersey. Jay, welcome to Chasing News. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Bill.
All right, so let me start right off the bat with this, Jay, because it's driving me crazy that the spin out there is calling this a Muslim ban when in fact it is truly a travel ban to 8 terror-sponsoring countries. What do you say?
I would have to disagree with you. Yes, there are 2 new additions, Venezuela and North Korea. However, based on President Trump's past rhetoric, including the tweets that he sent out last weekend that highlighted attacks against Muslim, we can infer that this is a Muslim ban, and he is simply keeping his campaign promise.
Well, but you're talking about places like Libya, Syria, Yemen, and actually, if you go back over the last 10 years, there are plenty of documented cases of people from these countries that have been accused of, at least accused of, committing very serious crimes, and not only in America,
serious
but also
crimes is not
in
terrorism,
Europe.
Bill.
But let me ask
serious
you,
crimes is not terrorism, Bill. There are serious
fair
crimes
enough,
is not terrorism.
But let me ask you, does a country like ours have the right and the duty to control our borders?
Absolutely. Controlling borders is one thing, but saying that someone from a Muslim majority country can't come in, that's not what America stands for.
Work with me for a second. You're the President of the United States. What do you do to curb terrorism? What do you do specifically with these 8 countries?
If you want to curb terrorism, first of all, refugee policies are already some of the most stringent in this country. It takes upwards of 2 to 5 years for someone to get a refugee status. How much more vetting do you need? It's impossible to get a refugee status to begin with. And on top of that, the vetting procedure is already so strong that it's absolutely impossible for someone to even achieve that status. If you achieve that status, they know that you are someone that truly needs it.
All right, Jay, thank you. Good to talk to you. All right, let's bring in our A-plus panel. I'm joined by immigration attorney Afia Yunus and political strategist Jeanette Hoffman and defense attorney Mike Korobatix. Afia, I would start with you. What's your reaction to the Supreme Court decision? And 2, are there any countries on that list that you want taken off?
My reaction is depression and upset and anger that this is not what this country stands for. The pattern and practice of President Trump since his campaign is to call for the complete and total shutdown of Muslims entering America. Muslim ban 1 and 2 called for the ban of Muslims. Now, to add North Korea, which has a negligible amount of immigration, and diplomats of Venezuela making it not a Muslim ban is really an insult to American intelligence.
How about all the countries that are not on the ban.
Exactly.
I mean, Saudi
And
Arabia, all
to
these
exactly. And
Jordan.
to argue that this is a national security issue is also an insult.
Jeanette, doesn't that make the point, though? These are the terror-sponsoring countries versus our allies in the war on terror.
Right. I mean, you can't say it's a Muslim ban when not all Muslim countries are banned.
But
and
all
there are
those countries banned are from Muslims.
But there are countries like North Korea and Venezuela that have been proven to be a threat, and that's why they're on the ban. And let me remind you, Bill, that it was the Obama administration that identified these countries that are having problems vetting their citizens coming over to the United States because they are overrun with terrorism.
So that's a good point, a valid point. Mike, let me ask you, is this just an attack on Trump?
I think sometimes when we let our political views and our emotions get the best of us and don't take some space in between, we have to look at this as illegal. There are many sides to this, and this is legal issues. The one interesting thing is in the order that I had read, there are some checks and balances as that there's the director of the Secretary of State's involved, director of Homeland Security. But the most interesting thing is it's the director of the FBI as well, who doesn't seem to be, according to Trump, a policy or a group that could investigate him, but they can investigate terrorists.
Okay, thanks guys, gonna leave it there.